magnificent.
What is going on, people? LP2000 right back at you with another video. Yes, today is a very special day. It's a very monumental day. And today we're taking a look at the Star Ace / X Plus Kong Skull Island 12-inch deluxe figure from the awesome, epic, campy Kaiju film from the Monsterverse, the legendary Monsterverse. Kong Skull Island. As you can see, I have the beautiful figure here, as well as the box here. And you know, I would do things, let's get into the box before we get into the figure. And yeah, this is the box. And you know what? I am so loving this box. You know, this is a great artwork of just the epic, you know, statuesque image of Kong here. Kong Skull Island in big red lettering, and the Japanese text, I guess, the title of the film. You know, deluxe version, because it does come with the mango helicopter in Kong's left hand, as well as the base here, 12-inch soft vinyl figure. And also, one thing I also love about this box is the fact that they actually put some artwork on the back of the box. You know, just the scene where Kong is approached by the helicopters at the beginning of the film with the sun behind him. Just an epic visual. And I'm glad they put it, you know, on the back of the box art. So I'm not going to trash this box. I'm not even going to toss it. Sorry, but I am so loving this box. I really am. I hope that X Plus or Star Ace does that with future boxes, you know, where they have, you know, some artwork on the back of the boxes. Because a lot of folks nowadays are starting just to cut out the artwork on the front and just trash the rest of it, you know. But if they decided to make more artwork around the boxes, as well as on the side, as well as the back here, then I've been more inclined to keep boxes, at least keep more of them, I should say. But you know what? This is such a great box. I'm going to keep it here for presentation purposes. You know, it is a nice visual. It really is. Now, let's talk about this figure. Yes, one of the most solid releases of the year 2018, and probably one of the most anticipated. The first time we ever heard about this figure coming was last year at the Summer Wonder Festival show in Japan, late July going into August, I believe. And while they're at the show, they showcase a lot of figures, X Plus wise. They showcased the recently released 25cm Space Godzilla and Little Godzilla set. At that point, it was still prototypes; they were not painted, but still, they debuted there at the show. The GMK Baragon Mothra set that first came out this year, yes, they had that on display. The Gigantic Ultra 7 that came out earlier this year, great figure. And the top two things that had a lot of us fans buzzing and a lot of us fans highly excited was first the gigantic 1964 Godzilla figure of the year, I might add. And there was an unpainted prototype version of Kong. Yes, this version of Kong from Kong Skull Island. And once again, that had a lot of folks happy, really. Because this is the first X Plus Kong in a long time that we have gotten from them. They have done, now mind you, my history with Kong as far as X Plus is very sketchy. So I'm trying to give the best information that I can here. But to my knowledge, they have made a 1933 version of Kong as well as a 2005 version of Kong a very long time ago. Now they were good figures, but they were nowhere near as detailed as what we get today, or at least detailed like this. And so for a while, Kong has been somewhat of a touchy character to touch as far as like licensing when it comes to toy companies. Of course, you can get Kong figures, from, like I said, toy companies and model kit companies. As far as X Plus is concerned, which is viewed by many people or many collectors as one of the best companies for kaiju products in the world, Kong was for a while an untapped project, and probably one of the most requested monsters that people wanted to see X Plus do. So fast forward, they were able to strike a deal with Legendary, as they did with the 2014 Godzilla, and finally they were able to make this version of Kong. And like I said, it was debuted at the Summer Wonder Festival show last year, 2017, and it just got released almost a year later in October 2018. Now, let me put an asterisk on that. Now, if you order this through an online retailer from Japan, like Hobby Search, for example, they dropped theirs like in October. Now, if you order yours through an online vendor via diamond distributors, like great vendors like flossysgifts.com or the Vampire Robots, then they won't drop until this week at the time of this recording. It is November 18th, and at the time of this recording, they should be shipping out to those who ordered through an American distributor. They should be delivering those this week. Now, it may be kind of a wonky situation for us the shipping, because this week does fall on Thanksgiving, so it may take a little bit longer to get to you than usual. But trust me, once you get this figure, you will be in hog heaven, especially if you're a Kong fan. Now, this is the deluxe version. They have two versions. The deluxe version, like I said, with this, it comes with the awesome base here, as well as a mangled helicopter that you can place in Kong's hand. And the standard, or at least the regular version, comes with just Kong by himself with somewhat of a more open hand. But that's basically it, and honestly, at first, I originally ordered the standard version through Michael Chakowski's, great guy, VampireRobots.com, and I'm still going to honor that commitment. But the thing about it is, like I just said, if you order this through Japan or through a Japanese website and they dropped early October 2018, a lot of us, so it's a lot of collectors that got theirs through that resource, they got theirs early. So a lot of folks like myself who ordered through another vendor had to wait almost like a month to get Kong. And after seeing a few pictures of people getting their Kongs, I was like, oh man, I want one so bad. I really do. I just couldn't wait. So I jumped on Hobby Search and to try to see if they had any extras online on the site. And like for 2 or 3 days after they released Kong, and after seeing pictures of people with their Kongs, they were sold out. Not one was available for sale at a Hobby Search. Until one day, I happened to go in there just for, I was bored that day, and I happened to go in there just to see if there was one available. And lo and behold, there was one left on the site. And after I got it, it was the last one available. I would assume that maybe somebody who did pre-order one from Hobby Search probably didn't make the payment on time, so they re-enlisted on the site as for sale. And I came in and scooped it up because I knew I was getting the standard version from Vampire Robots. So I was like, you know what? I got a few extra dollars. I'm going to go after the deluxe version because I am a huge King Kong fan. I know the majority of my content here on this channel is mostly Godzilla devoted to Toho and all that good stuff. But I have no issue saying I am as much as a King Kong fan as I am a Godzilla fan. And I had no issues double dipping on this guy. As a matter of fact, when you get one, or if you get both of them, they still together are a good price. Probably less, because I think the standard is like $125. This was like maybe $170. So you get like 2 Kong figures under like $300. That includes shipping to a certain extent. And honestly, that is a great deal, because I see once this guy becomes more scarce in the marketplace, He is not going to be out there that much, obviously, and he's going to be even way up there in price. So basically, I got two for the price of one and what they may be going for in the future, which is good. And I know I'm not the only one that has double dip, because honestly, I don't think a lot of folks really understand how big of a release this is. I know there are a lot of King Kong purists out there that want to see a version of the 33 or the 2005, or the Toho fans that want to see a 62 or 67. But still, even though this Kong is not like those versions, this is still an amazing piece to have, especially if you're a Kong fan. What I love most about this Kong is the fact that he is more like the one from the 60s. He's not like an oversized giant gorilla from 1933 or 2005 where he's walking on his hands. He's more of an upright, you know, kind of a gargantuan type of sculpt with him, you know what I mean? And that was more patterned after the 60s version of King Kong, which is my favorite version of King Kong, honestly, particularly the 67. So that's why I had a double dip on this guy. And if you double dip, you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with double dipping, especially of a figure that's worth it. And trust me, this version of Kong is absolutely worth it. And if you pre-order one, I know it sucks to wait, but at the same time, you will be in hog heaven once you get your hands on this figure. You would not be disappointed. Once again, a true highlight of 2018. In a year we were seeing so much great figures come out. There's so much to choose from. The favorite sculptors line 62 Godzilla, Gigantic 64, favorite sculptors line Varan, or favorite sculptors line GMK, Mogera, Frankenstein, the 25 centimeter gargantuas. There are so many to choose from, but I can definitely say or predict when everybody starts making their figure of the year picks towards the end of the year, don't be surprised of seeing Kong on so many people's lists, because this guy is really that daggone awesome. Now let's go into the figure, and it's basically just a movie accurate version of Kong from the film Kong Skull Island. X Plus has done a great job. Now, mind you, this was distributed by Star Ace, but X Plus was the one that sculpted the creature. They sculpted Kong. So it's a collaboration between the two companies. Star Ace distributed or shipped it out or whatever, but X Plus sculpted this version of Kong. And as a matter of fact, looking on the box here, it says the sculpt is produced by X Plus and Kaiju. I hope I'm not butchering that name. But as far as I know, Kaiju or whatever, they were the model people behind the sculpt of the gigantic GMK and the gigantic Burning Godzilla, and those are excellent sculpts within themselves. And they have definitely continued the trend with this version of Kong. You know, it really speaks for itself. You know, the color on Kong is really, really, really good. It's like a medium brown type of color, you know. And the way they have sculpted Kong's fur. Now, mind you, Kong is a CGI character in this film. He's not a man in the suit, a practical effect character. So it's kind of like the Shin Godzilla figures that they have made, or the 2014 Godzilla, 2014 Godzilla figures that they have made. And all of those are CGI characters. Once again, X Plus has done a great job of recreating a CGI character with their sculpts, with their figures, and they have done a great job with Kong. The way they simulated Kong's fur all over his body, you know, the highlights on his body is really, really good. Like, I'm looking at the back here. His back is all chiseled. It has great musculature to him. His upper back, I am not going there on his lower back, and let's just leave it at that. I'm not going down there. You know what? That was a subject of debate when people first started getting this, and they were showing shots of Kong's posterior, and let's just say the coloring on it is a little bit light, and there was some debate about it. Once again, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. Let's just say, I tell you what, you be a judge once you get Kong in your hands. But as far as his upper back looks really, really, really good. I love his chest. The chest is looking awesome, very chiseled. Like I said, very muscular. The pronounced musculature in his chest is really, really, really good. The 3 claw marks, you know, signifying that he was attacked by a skull crawler in the film, just adds a lot more weight and depth to the figure, and I really do enjoy that. And it's a thing. That's what, you know what, I love how they did this with this version of Kong, but I don't like how they did that with the 2005 version of Kong. Remember how the 2005 version of Kong had his jaw all lopsided and his head was kind of like, you know, really scarred? You know, I didn't really like that, but I like how they put that damaged look of Kong on his chest. It's kind of like it's kind of like it's like a trophy, with the scars on his chest. It's like a trophy of Kong, doing battle with these creatures and still surviving. It's like a war scar, and I really like that, how they put that into Kong's chest here. The face. The face looks amazing. The eyes are just piercing, more of a yellowish color. It's like, in whatever position you put Kong in the room, especially if you're in the same room with him, no matter what position you look at him, it looked like he's looking right directly back at you, and he has that look. I love that look of Kong on his face, where he looks really pissed off. He has his hands clenched that says, you know what? I'm peaceful, but at the same time, do not mess with me. I'm serious. Do not mess with me. And I love how they had this look of Kong in this sculpt. Now, I won't say it's an issue, but one thing I can see S Plus doing, kind of like what they did with the 2014 Godzilla, that they may reissue Kong, this version of Kong, but yet have it more of an open mouth roaring pose, which I would love to see, a lot of my figures, I love to see them in roaring poses. But this one, his mouth is completely closed. But I can see them reissuing Kong in a more roaring pose that show his teeth, his fangs, his gums. And if they do that, I'll be all over it. I'm sure a lot of other people will too. But aside from that, the head sculpt looks awesome. The face looks awesome. Very mean, very intimidating, very ticked off. He's ready to throw down with whatever. And I really do like that. Just the overall structure of Kong is amazing. X Plus has done a great job with this. They really have. I know I've said it numerous times in the course of this video already, but I can't speak enough about that. And once you get it in your hands, you will really understand what I'm talking about. They have done a great job with the sculpt, the paint job. Everything about this Kong is perfect. It really is. And it may satisfy your appetite on if and when we do get other versions of Kong, whereas the Toho ones are more of a detailed version of the 1933 or 2005. Hopefully this will open some doors for us getting more Kong figures down the line. Even though Mr. G Akamoto, you know who he is, the guy who kind of runs X Plus, at least picks the monsters that they put out. Fun-loving guy. We know him, we love him. And in an interview with Kaiju Cast earlier this year, he wasn't too optimistic about them being able to produce Toho Kongs and stuff like that. But never say never, and it's always good to maintain an optimistic mind. And hopefully at some point they will produce Toho Kong figures in this sculpt, you know what I mean? Or at least in this guise, you know what I mean? And it looks really, 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 really good. The last two things I want to talk about as far as this one, because this is the deluxe version, and it comes with this awesome base here that has, this grassy green texture base, to simulate, Kong's Island, Skull Island. And it has a little river in between Kong's legs here. And it looks really, really good. A nice detailed base. It's not too big, it's not too small, but it's good to complement the figure. You can stand Kong without the base, obviously, because he can stand by himself, as you can see right here. But with or without the base, he looks really, really good. And you just plant Kong's feet in the grooves right here on the base, and you have yourself a solid presentation. One last thing, it comes with a mangled helicopter, to signify the scene in the film where Brie Larson, or I guess her name was Mason Weaver, I think, comes across an animal. I forgot what animal it was. I think it was a big bull, a giant bull or something like that, and it was crushed by one of the helicopters that Kong destroyed. And and for some strange reason, she thinks that she can lift up this thousands of pound mangled destroyed helicopter off of the bull or whatever it was. But then Kong silently comes along and lifts up the helicopter and holds it in his hand like this, and then just throws it away. So it signifies that, or it signifies when Kong does attack the helicopter squadron in the beginning of the film. But still, it's a nice presentation to have with both the mangled helicopter as well as the base here. But overall, solid piece. This really is a solid piece, and if you can find one for a good price, or you can find one anywhere, because trust me, this guy is pretty much sold out everywhere. You may try to find one in the aftermarket. Once again, I always say don't go overboard with the investment. Like I said, the standard was $125, the deluxe was maybe 160 to 180. I say at this point, don't go over $250 for either one, but once you go into the $300 and $400 territory, I wouldn't go that far, because X Plus may do what they did, like I said, with the 2014 Godzilla with Kong. They may just reissue him like this, but with a more open mouth roaring pose, So don't lose sight of that possibility. So if you can find one for a good price, whether it's the deluxe version right here or the standard, either way you can't go wrong with this epic figure of Kong from Kong Skull Island, you know. So let's do a couple size comparisons, and you know how we do things around here. We'll wrap up this review with my thoughts of Kong Skull Island. Alright, so now let's go with the first size comparison. Okay folks, this is the first size comparison, and yes, for nostalgia purposes, I figured I'd put alongside here with the 12-inch deluxe version of Kong from Kong Skull Island his dinosaur opponent in the 1967 Kong classic film King Kong Escapes, and we have here the 30cm 1967/1968 Gorosaurus figure. And as you can see, they look well together. Now Kong stands a little bit taller, obviously, because Kong does stand at least 12 inches tall. Gorosaurus, with him being more slunched over, is at like 10 or 11 inches tall. But as you can see, they look really well together, especially if you're a fan of King Kong Escapes. And I make no bones about the fact that King Kong Escapes is my most favorite King Kong film of all time. And so even if you don't have like a 2014 Godzilla to go with this Kong for setups or anything like that, or any skull crawlers, because as of this moment, S Plus has not made any skull crawlers as of yet. They may at some point, but as of right now, they have not. But if you want to put Kong up against some opponents to create setups here, you know, this will be a good one to start right here, you know, and just makes me think about, you know, what would happen if this version of Kong fought Gorosaurus. But it's like a nice throwback, you know what I mean? It's a nice throwback to King Kong Escapes, and I'm always in the mood for that, you know. So yes, this is the first size comparison. Along with King Kong right here, I have the 30cm Gorosaurus. So let's do two more size comparisons, and we'll wrap this review up. Let's go with the next size comparison. Okay folks, this is the second size comparison, and I know these two kaijus have never ever faced each other before, but I figured it'd be nice to see what would happen if they did come across each other. And yes, alongside Kong here, I have the 30cm Titanosaurus from Terra Mecha Godzilla. And I put these two together because since Titanosaurus is a dinosaur, he really is, and he was a great fighter, even without possessing any special powers like an atomic breath attack like Godzilla, or laser beams coming out of his eyes like Mecha Godzilla, or pollution powers like Hedra. But like Kong, he is just an ordinary, oversized, colossal creature with no special powers, but yet he's a great fighter. He's tough, and it would be fun to see these two get it on, you know what I mean? And once again, it just proves that, you know, if you have multiple figures, you know, and even though Kong, this version of Kong only fought skull crawlers in his film to create a perfect setup, but it's fun just to see what would happen if Kong did come across, like I said, Titanosaurus or Gorosaurus, you know, whatever. It's just fun. It's just fun to see setups like this, and just see how well Kong does scale well with other X Plus figures. So that's the purpose of this size comparison right here. So let's do one more size comparison, and then we'll talk about Kong Skull Island. Let's go with the last size comparison. And I think you know who I'm going to pair him up with next. All right, let's go. Okay, folks, this is the last size comparison. And I got y'all on that one, didn't I? Yeah. I told you I was going to have the next size comparison with somebody that y'all think I'm definitely going to do, but I think I kind of swerved y'all. But you know what? These two look great together. This is a matchup that I would love to see, you know. And alongside Kong right here, for those who don't know, this is the 30cm 1999 version of Gamera. Yes, our favorite flying, fire-breathing super monster. Yes, and I wanted to put these two together because, for one, they look great together. And this is something I've always wanted to see. I've always wanted to see what would happen if King Kong fought Gamera. You know, King Kong fought Godzilla. You know, King Kong fought a giant octopus. King Kong fought, you know, skull crawlers. But what would have happened if King Kong would have fought Gamera? You know, both are known for their toughness. Both are known to be just colossal of already existing creatures, with Gamera from a turtle and Kong from a gorilla / ape. So what would happen if these two got it on? As a matter of fact, why don't y'all pipe down in the comment section on what you feel during the size comparison that I did on who will win. Who will win between Kong versus Gorosaurus? Who will win between this version of Kong and Titanosaurus? And definitely, who will win, in your opinion, between Kong and Gamera? But at the same time, when you put them together, it's nice to have fun and visualize and just have some thoughts running through your head about what would happen if these two would have come across each other. It would have been for a great fight. I have no doubt about that. It would be a great fight involving these two. All right, so we're done with the size comparison. I know I kind of like drowned the figure review in size comparison, but just to go and show y'all, this Kong looks great with many X plus existing figures that they have put out, especially the 30 centimeters. You know what I mean? And Gamma is no exception. So once you get Kong, why don't you put him with other 30 centimeter figures and have yourselves great fantasy matchups with the colossal gorilla here. You know what I mean? It would be fun. It sure is fun for me. Now, let's talk about Kong Skull Island. Okay, folks, I'm back, and let's talk about Kong Skull Island. And yes, this is a great film. It really is. And I like this film for building a cinematic universe in which both King Kong and Godzilla both can coexist. And we all know at some point, and in fact in 2020, they're on a collision course with each other. And this film, along with the 2014 Godzilla film, is a building block to get to that destination. And this film was really, really good. I really did enjoy this film. It's a real simple story, really. I love how they established King Kong's backstory. As a matter of fact, this thing about it being a King Kong film. I love how in this film Kong is still growing. He's still a young version of Kong. I love the implication, of Kong's parents, that they were more Kong creatures just like him. He's the last of his kind of like Godzilla. So I really do enjoy that, and I love, like I said, I love the fact that they're establishing his backstory. And I love also how the fact that if you notice during the entire film, they do not refer to him as King Kong. They only refer to him as just Kong. And I think once he becomes bigger and maybe has some gray strands on his hair, once he becomes a more mature, bigger, more powerful version of himself, that's when I think he will earn the moniker of King Kong going up against Godzilla in 2020. The cast is really good. I enjoy the cast. Samuel L. Jackson, Tom Hiddleston, the guy who played Loki in the Avengers movies. Brie Larson, Captain Marvel, the upcoming Captain Marvel. Corey Hawkins, who played Dr. Dre in Straight Outta Compton. Jason Mitchell, who played Eazy-E in Straight Outta Compton. Both of those guys are great actors. John Goodman. What can you say about the great John Goodman? He's awesome. It's just a lot. Oh, and I think John C. Reilly, I think that's his name. Yes, but this cast was really, really good. This is one thing I really enjoyed more so than 2014 Godzilla. This cast was really, really good. It involved actors that we've seen in great other epic films. So the fact they were put all together in this story revolving around King Kong was really, really good. I have a few favorite moments in the film. My first favorite moment is obviously the first attack scene when Kong, destroys the helicopters and the people get scattered all over the island. And his first, revelation scene is really, really, really good. I also enjoy Samuel L. Jackson's character, even though he was kind of a prick in this one. But I get his motivation behind wanting to take down Kong, even though he does take it over the line a little bit. I love John C. Reilly's comic relief. I think some people look at John C. Reilly's character and thought that the comedy was too much. In my opinion, I thought it was just the right mix of both serious and, added comic flavor here and there, trying to lighten up the mood a little bit. Something that was lacking in 2014 Godzilla, honestly. And I think Mr. Reilly did a good job with that, The only weak thing I find about Kong Skull Island is actually the skull crawlers. I don't find them to be, I don't find them to be credible creatures, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they were credible for this version of Kong, the fact that he is young and he's still growing. He's not yet King Kong, the more powerful version of himself. But I thought they were okay for what they were, but honestly, I thought they were the weakest part of the film. I just didn't really get behind, those creatures, And Skull Island, as far as like a set piece, because sometimes even locations can be characters, you know. And Skull Island, I like how it's a tropical island that has all these basically almost normal beasts aside from skull crawlers, just normal giant versions of themselves. And I really do like that. Versus like the 2005 Kong, those natives were really scary looking and stuff like that. And I just couldn't get behind that. But I was able to get behind this version of Skull Island, you know, and it's really, 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 really amazing. Now, it just makes me wonder, how would they bring King Kong and Godzilla together? And you know what? There's a couple things that kind of play into that as far as I'm concerned. And number one, I'm going to say that the reason why you have not seen me do a size comparison with the 2014 Godzilla and Kong yet is because I'm saving that for my next Kong review. As I mentioned earlier, I am getting the standard version of this figure, and in that video I'm going to compare the standard against the deluxe version, and then I will provide a theory on how they can bring King Kong and Godzilla together. And I think the key is one of them has to really be a villain. I don't know how they're going to do that, honestly, but I have a theory on which both of them will collide and how you can really get behind one versus the other one. Because back in the day in King Kong versus Godzilla 1962 from Toho, Godzilla was clearly the villain and Kong was clearly positioned as the star and the protagonist of the film. You know, but nowadays I think that both King Kong and Godzilla are on the same level as far as popularity, and it may split the fans, and I fall into that category because, like I mentioned earlier, I am as much a King Kong fan as I am a Godzilla fan. And honestly, when I see them go at it, see them collide, I don't want to see one beat the other one. I don't want to see Kong beat Godzilla. I don't want to see Godzilla beat Kong. I don't know if I'm the only one out there that feels that way. I'm sure it's going to be an entertaining film, and I'm sure one has to lose. But honestly, by me being a fan of both of them to the degree that I am, I honestly don't want to see one beat the other one, you know. So maybe, you know, they'll come to some kind of conclusion. Maybe they'll come to a draw or something like that. But we're on a cusp, on a really monumental occasion with this cinematic universe of the Monsterverse, courtesy of Legendary, in which both Kong, Godzilla, King Ghidorah, Rodan, Mothra, and whatever monsters they have in store for us are within the same universe, and just questions how they're going to put them together. It's a really interesting question, and I'm looking forward to see how they pull it off in the near future. But as far as Kong Skull Island, it's a great film. It's like I said, it's a great film to establish Kong's backstory. You know, I love how they really didn't retell the whole Beauty and the Beast storyline that we have seen in past King Kong films. You know what I mean? They do homage, you know, pay homage to obviously the King Kong lore. Like the island, for example, how it's hidden behind that, you know, perpetual storm system that keeps it hidden from the outside world. Where in the original one, it was protected by a fog bank. That's how Kong's island became undetected. And of course, Kong's interaction with Brie Larson's character in Kong Skull Island, you know, his minor connection is basically, you know, how Kong fell in love with the girl in past King Kong films. So even though there are homages to it, I love how they didn't go down that road, because it presents, in my opinion, by Kong falling in love with the girl, that gave him a weakness, which proved to be his undoing in the end. But for this Kong to go up against Godzilla, he doesn't need to have a weakness. He needs to be a strong, credible kaiju that can provide a challenge to the King of the Monsters. And I think with this movie, they did a solid job on establishing that for Kong. And I'm looking forward to see how they bring Kong and Godzilla together for the upcoming epic battle. It should be a fun movie. I'm looking forward to it. But as far as Kong Skull Island, it's a great film. I highly recommend you watch it, and you will have a fun time watching it as I do. You know what I mean? So that pretty much concludes my review of the Star H/X Plus Kong Skull Island Deluxe 12-inch soft vinyl figure from the epic kaiju film that's shaping this cinematic monster universe, courtesy of Legendary. Kong Skull Island. You have any questions, holler me down in the comment section, or hit me up on Facebook via Leslie P. Chambers. We'll definitely go from there. Yes, once again, this is a great release of 2018. I really am enjoying this. And once again, if you're on the fence about getting this guy, please get off that fence. Whether it's this one or the standard, you know, this is a solid release. And it's really an important one. And that's why I feel a lot of folks are not really accepting the magnitude of how important this release is. A King Kong figure from X Plus, this is great. So if you have a chance to get your hands on this one or the standard, please get your hands on one. But either way, you cannot go wrong with this figure. The Kong Skull Island figure from Star H/X Plus. And also stay tuned to the very end of the of this video, of this review, and you'll see my homage to the awesome post-credit scene to Kong Skull Island. If you've seen the film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I kind of did my own spin on that, but you have to wait until the very, very end of the video to look at that, and I hope y'all enjoy it. And once again, get Kong Skull Island figure from Star H/X Plus. You will not be disappointed. Alright, once again, lots of stuff is coming. Varan, favorite sculptors line Varan, the 65 Godzilla Rick, Fire Rodan, the 67 Godzilla. Just a lot of stuff is coming, and I hope y'all will enjoy what I have in store for us here on the channel in the very near future. Alright, so I thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see y'all again on next Figure Move review. Alright, y'all take it easy and get Kong.
Kong is not the only